Jacob Dickey is here with me for today's Ask Your Meteorologist segment, and I have stolen his dog, Vinny.
Yes. We brought Vinny in because I'm trying to make Vinny the weather dog. And
okay.
He's all about the weather, right? I mean, look at his leash. She's got, on this side, it's
clouds.
Perfect. Yeah, the other side is Winnie the Pooh. That's my wife's side, but then I got the cloud side, so that's...
Well, we have a weather-related question that kind of pertains to small dogs.
Right, yeah.
So I have a question about wind. Why, as we head into spring in central Illinois, does it get so windy and have small dog alerts?
Yeah, you can imagine with Vinny, when the wind picks up his hair, it just kind of, flowing around and things of that, or he sticks his head out the window. He loves sniffing the wind, but get too much of wind and that can be a problem because he's a big fan of the sunshine there. Really, for us, the wind and the patterns are driven by the jet stream. So before, you've probably heard about the jet stream. That is just the atmospheric highway aloft here. I've got an example of that as we move on through. First off, for the rest of this week, things are pretty quiet. Watch what happens this weekend, the weekend of the 14th, 15th of March here. See that core of reds and even some bright yellows there? That is a jet streak. You can think of it as the fastest part of the interstate highway that those storm systems travel on. I mean, those cars are like the Autobahn. That jet streak is like the Autobahn. Really intense winds aloft. What that will do is that moves air masses at the surface. So that south wind that you see there really pulls in warm air. We've been warm through the week, kind of setting things up, and then that'll set the stage for some atmospheric dynamics, some wind shear aloft and things of that. And closer to the surface as well, if you see in northwest Missouri there, Jaclyn, that closed circle, and then there's a bigger one, that's a closed upper level low here, an area of low pressure. The wind is primarily driven by pressure, and then how fast the pressure changes plays a big role in that. So let's look at our future track pressure here and give you an idea. Pretty quiet, light wind out there for the most part, but that wind by the weekend really picks it up. You see a couple of things. First off, on the scale, we start seeing a lot of those reds, a lot of lower pressure there. That low pressure is where there's not as much air in place, and you can think of it like your vacuum. That's going to pull in a lot of air towards that center low pressure. And then also overhead, see those tight lines that are there? That tight gradient is the wind pressure field here, and that's where we see the wind pick up. As those lines get closer and closer, it's almost like if you're hiking, you've probably been hiking before, the cliff gets steeper and steeper, we get stronger and stronger winds from that there. So I'll talk a little more here. I got another couple of graphics to show, and we'll first off, we'll get this to move on. This is into the weekend. Look what happens into early next week. We flip the other direction and we have blue.
Interesting. Yeah,
so
what
we're going
does blue
from
mean?
Low pressure to high pressure here. And to get there, we've got to move a lot of air, and we're doing it in a short period of time, which means that wind is going to pick up a bit here. Here's another way to look at it. This is that vertical profile. So if we were standing on the ground and we were looking to the horizon, we looked vertically up here, you can see that area of high pressure. There's a lot more air on top of that high pressure at the surface, and there's a lot less air on the low pressure here. Well, the air here, all the atmosphere wants to do is be in harmony, in balance, right? So it's going to try and even those lines out, move air from the high pressure to the low pressure there to even this bar up and bring this bar down until they're in equilibrium. Because the Earth spins, because we get surface heating uneven, because we've got different land features, the Earth will never get into equilibrium, but it is always trying to do that, and that can play a role in things here. Here's another way to think of that. Remember those tight lines? You've never been kayaking or a river?
Right.
You can even think in your shower. When you take your faucet and you're in the shower, the shower head,
sure,
you change the pressure in there. Well, if you're trying to get a higher pressure, you take your pipe and you want to shrink that, right? So we've got our water moving here. It now has the same amount of water in a smaller area. It's going to speed up, and then when it releases, it goes a little slower. We'll see that smaller channel, that tighter gradient in there, that wind is really going to pick up as it moves on through.
And so then, what are some wind safety tips besides hold on to small animals, hold on to your doors, don't let your hats blow away? Well, what are some sort of wind safety tips?
Yeah, well, the state bird around here is the trampoline. Those things seem to fly every time we get some strong wind. You got to tie those things down. Sometimes the wind will be strong enough to take those anyways and things of that. Other things we tend to think of, a lot of times when we talk about the wind too, when we have a situation like this upcoming weekend, we've got strong winds without any thunderstorm activity. If you throw in some storms into the mix, you can actually mix those stronger winds even more down to the surface. So if you've got surface winds, non-thunderstorm, just the gradient pressure between those highs and low there, if you've got that 40, 50 mile an hour, throw some thunderstorms, that's going to mix that jet stream down to the surface, and you can get winds 60, 70 mile an hour. That's probably going to be the case for us here. You're tired of hearing about it. I know, you just want to play and go outside.
It's been such a good sport.
He's been hanging out and having a good time there. So,
well, we will hold on to you this weekend. Don't worry, Vinny. Right. You're not going anywhere, right?
I might have to take up storm chasing. I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think he's doing so well here. I think he'd do really good in the storm tracker.
I do too. Yeah. Get him a Vinny seat.
Right. For sure.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here, Jacob. And if you have a question for Jacob, you can email him at jdickey@wcia.com, or you can find us on social media. And we will be right back.